Okay, this video will address common problems with thesis statements. Here are some of the common problems. The first is that sometimes thesis statements or points inside a thesis statement are too broad. Broad means big or general. Here's an example of some thesis statements that are too broad. Work can be stressful. Sometimes someone writes a thesis statement that we could write so much more about. We could write a book about this topic. And that's what the first example is. This topic needs to be narrowed, needs to be made more specific so we can write an essay about it. Another problem is sometimes when we have 3 points in our thesis statement, one of them is too broad. So look at this example. A successful student is organized in his or her work habits, motivated by a goal, and a good student. One of these points is too broad, and that is the third point, a good student. A good student is basically the same as a successful student, right? So this encompasses too many points. A good student could be organized. A good student could be motivated. So organized is a good narrow point that we could write a paragraph about. Motivated is a specific point that we could write a paragraph about. But a good student is too general to write a paragraph about. So this point needs to be changed to something more specific. Remember, a good thesis statement should limit your topic. If your thesis statement is too broad, you will need to write a book instead of an essay. Okay. So, sometimes a thesis statement has the opposite problem. It's too narrow. Here are some examples. 13.7 million people in the United States are unemployed. Any time that we try to have a fact or a statistic as our thesis statement, it is not going to work. Because what will our body paragraphs be about? 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million? No. So we don't. So this, anytime you see a fact as a thesis statement, it's not correct. Now, let's look at the second thesis statement. In this one of the points is too narrow. Let's see if you can tell which point is too narrow. My father inspires me because he has worked hard in his profession, exercised 30 minutes a day, and been dedicated to his family. Now, remember, if a thesis statement is too narrow, you might struggle to find enough support in your essay. So in this thesis statement, which point would be difficult to write enough about, to have good support for? Hopefully you said exercised 30 minutes a day. Again, we can say that someone maybe has a healthy lifestyle, and exercise 30 minutes a day could be a support for that. But this point is just too small and too narrow to be able to write a whole paragraph about. That's why we said this thesis point was too narrow. Okay? On the screen, you see 2 pictures that have several differences between them. Take a minute and see how many differences you can find. Okay, hopefully you found some of these differences. Like his glove is a different color. The stripe on his shirt is a different color. This emblem is on a different side of his shorts. We see the Nike logo here, but not on this sock. Why did we do this activity? We are looking for differences between these 2 pictures. But when you write your essay, you don't want your points to be too similar. You don't want people to have to look for differences between your points. That's why another problem with thesis statements is overlapping points. When 2 points are overlapping, it means they are the same or similar. Don't make your readers search for differences between your points. Make each point specific and different. Let's look at some examples. The first example is good parents are caring, strict, and loving. What's the problem in this thesis? Loving and caring are too similar. They encompass the same idea. Now, some students will always say, well, caring is different because caring means taking care of somebody, like making food for them, but loving is an emotion. However, when we have to work hard to find differences between our points, like we did in this picture, then that means they're too similar. Okay? So if you want so in this case you would need to revise it to show some sort of difference between those two words. Let's look at the second thesis statement. Transportation is better in my country than in the US because it is cheaper, more frequent, and more affordable for senior citizens. What's the problem in this thesis statement? The problem is that the point of being cheaper and the point of being more affordable are overlapping. They both have to do with the cost. Now, some people who are looking for differences will say, oh, the third point is about senior citizens. However, that would just mean it could be used as support under the cheaper point. Okay, so we would need to think of a different point for this essay, for the third point of this essay, so that our points don't overlap. Okay, so as a review, the major problems with thesis statements are some are too broad, some are too narrow, some thesis statements have overlapping points. Then there's those good thesis statements. That's what you want to try to write. Okay? And that's what we'll do in the next exercise.